Mass chaos. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rachakwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return, and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai. Now, if you don't know, well, let me tell you, there is over 50,000 truckers that are heading into Canada to protest against juice mandates. Okay? So there is just mass chaos going on right now. And we're talking about 50,000 a strong trucker. Well, Dabu called them strong truckers. But we're talking 50,000 truckers storming into Canada to protest juice mandates. So there is a lot going on right now, and a lot of people out there are unaware that the Vanessa Dream is becoming mandatory in Canada. So while you people out there lollygagging, you're throwing house parties, you're cooking and having, and I'm mainly talking to our people, the Israelites, which are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. Okay, you're BSing around, man, and this, Canada is right next to the United States, and this thing is mandatory. Some jobs are already receiving documentations to basically, you got to submit a file or a form that you have the Vanessa Dream inside of you, and that if you don't, you'll be considered unjust and you could possibly lose your job. Okay, my job's been hit with those documentations. And at Lord's will, I'm not taking that goddamn Vanessa Dream, okay? I'm not taking that shit. And Lord, always got to be humble and say Lord's will. Always be humble and say Lord's will. Because at the end of the day, it's the Lord's word over our words. And it's the Lord's words over our actions. So we always got to be humble and say, Lord's will. But as far as we know, okay, the Coca-Cola is mandatory in Canada. And you got 50,000 truckers storming into Canada, Ottawa, Canada, to be exact, to protest what's going on down there. Now, I have a scripture right here. This is the book of 2nd Esdras, because what we're seeing here is prophecy play out. Okay? Oh, and got some good news, brothers. I got my laptop back. Yeah, some guy at my job, an associate, he fixed my laptop. So now I'll be able to go full force again, man. I'm actually excited, because now, Lord's will, when I go home, I can go full force in the truth again. See, like the laptop I have now, because I'm using a brother of mine's laptop right now. I'm using a brother of mine laptop right now, and that laptop is slow, man. It's so slow, it's unbearable, man. You know, it's really been slowing me down. But now that I'm gonna be able to get now that I have my other laptop back, Lord's will, I have not put the hard drive back in it yet. But Lord's will, when I go home, man, yeah, Lord, so I'll be able to go full force in His truth again. Lord's will. Oh man, how I miss my laptop. It's been out for really since last year. I would probably like to say it went out on me towards the end of November. But hey man, hey, Barakatha Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. But not to get too off topic, 2nd Esdras 15 verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, right? For the sword in their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And of course, this scripture right here goes two ways, because on the one half, it's talking about race wars. But on the other half, it's talking about civil wars, where the one people are talking about the civilians on the soils, of whatever country that the scripture applies to, going against what? Going against militant troops, perhaps martial law troops. So you got the martial law troops going against civilians. And then the race wars, is talking about Jacob versus the nation of Edom. Or Jacob versus Esau. I'm going to just come out and say it. I don't really like to say the E word. They, EE be getting offended. But, yeah, which Jacob is our forefather. The Israelites are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. And Jacob's name was changed to Israel, and he gave birth to our nation, the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians, which are the true Israelites of the Holy Scriptures. And then, of course, Esau, who is called Edom, those are your so-called white people you see today, starting with the so-called elites, trickling down to the rest of the nation, the people. But I'm going to go ahead and go down to verse 16 here. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So did you hear that? Let me read it again. For there shall be sedition among men. The 50,000 truckers storming into Canada to protest against the mandate, that's a sedition right there. Now, when you look up the word sedition, it means a rebellion against the government. People are rebelling against the government, and we know why. It's prophecy. And a lot of people is waking up to what's inside of the Vanessa dream. A lot of people is waking up to what's inside of the Coca-Cola, okay? They're waking up to it. And that's why they're out there protesting. And the fact that the government is trying to force the Coca-Cola on the people, they're out there rioting. They're out there protesting. Because they're trying to, the Canadian government is trying to force their children to take it. They're trying to force their parents to take it, their grandparents and their uncles. He don't give a fuck, man. They trying to force everybody to take it. Because remember, the so-called elites, they have an agenda. Okay, going back to the Georgia Guidestones, right? Maintain humanity under what? 500 million. So, I mean, there's a lot of chaos going on right now. You got protests going on everywhere. For there shall be sedition among men and invading. Hold on a second. Man, Esau's at work. Oh, Salakia, Satan is at work here. Okay, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. You think them people in Canada are regarding what the president got to say about the Vanessa Dream mandate? Hell no. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And these protests are going to lead to martial law, which leads me to read this next verse right here. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Why? Why is he not going to be able to go into a city? Because there's going to be martial law out here from all the protests and rioting going on. And this is all prophecy. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Now, let me get another scripture. Bear with me for one moment. Proverbs. Man, I'll be able to start doing lessons on my laptop again instead of my phone. Like the laptop I have now, this sucks so bad, I don't even want to bring it to work with me. I actually stopped bringing it to work with me. Proverbs 29 verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. When people are out there protesting and rioting, does that mean they're rejoicing? No. It means they're in mourning. Which leads me to read this next part. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. The people is in mourning because the wicked is in rulership. When the wicked is in rulership, unrighteous decrees get passed. When unrighteous decrees get passed, people get taken out of their comfort zone. When people get taken out of their comfort zone, they go out there and protest. They whine, they bitch, they boo-hoo, they complain to the government. Which is exactly what the so-called elites want. So they can come with a solution. Which that solution is going to be martial law if those protests do not eventually simmer down. So the prophecy is playing out here on the earth. With that, I'm going to say Shalom is on to the next one.